Thank you for joining CU Bands and Fans podcast. Our podcast is brought to you by Homegrown KIO. Homegrown KIO is on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. It is a stellar show featuring the great songs that have come from bands originating in Champaign-Urbana. Listen at 107.9 on your FM dial, at 1079wkio.com, or ask Alexa to play WKIO. Hello, it's Terry with CU Bands and Fans podcast, where musicians tell their story. I'm here with my co-host, Zach Woodup. How are you doing, Zach?
Really well.
Good. You look good. You got some nice light going on your podcast video. And we want to welcome our guest, Nathan Baker from Philo, Illinois. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And Nathan Stearns from, where are you from, Nathan Stearns?
I'm from Urbana.
Okay,
Illinois.
awesome. Right here in this community. So from here on out, I'm going to call them Baker and Stearns so that we can like define which
Tell
is
the difference.
Yeah, which is which. So let's begin with, I met these guys at Daly's open mic. They both have been, along with several other artists, have been showing up at open mics throughout our area. Preferably, mostly it's Cliff Stoker's open mic sessions that he began here at Daly's and also at Winston's, and then he began a new one at the VFW in Villa Grove. So we're very appreciative that that Cliff's doing this. So how did you guys hear about the open mics? You can start with, I don't care which one answers, but let's have both of you answer, but give each other a minute to answer. How did you hear of the open mics and start like showing up at those?
I have to tell you, I don't remember. I think it might have been our mutual friend Jackson who told me that Cliff does open mics throughout the small town communities. And I was like, I have never played live before. So I decided by myself one time to go to the one that he hosts in Sydney, Winston's Old Bank, and I really enjoyed myself. So apart from last week, I haven't missed one since. It's been super fun. And I really enjoy the atmosphere, so much so that I asked my good friend Nathan here to come along with me. You can share more about that.
Yeah, I first heard about the open mics from Nate. I had known Nate and Jackson for a while, just through our personal relationships, not necessarily in a band setting. And then Nate was like, dude, like, you should really come out to these open mics and play. And aside from like doing church stuff, I'd never really played live that much before either.
You would never know either one of you. You would never know that.
Thank you. Yeah, I had produced and played music a lot by myself and done like recording, but I had never actually done like the whole live thing. I just didn't know how to get into it. So coming to the open mics was kind of like the gateway drug, if you will. And I started doing those and I had a blast. Like, they're so fun. I feel like just getting into playing live, I feel like I'm having all these new experiences of like, oh my goodness, it is super fun to play in front of an audience and have them respond to it, as opposed to just making a video of myself or recording something.
And not really getting to see the reaction of people outside of like commenting maybe on your videos.
Absolutely. Playing live is so different. It's just, it's a totally different beast.
More energy for sure. And as someone who's like super nervous and has been for a long time, as far as like getting up in front of people, it's a really humbling experience, and it's something that I really love growing in too. So,
and that that is the whole reason for open mics, is to for you to be able to relax and be able to play live and
for sure,
get some response and feedback and just have a good time, just enjoy playing without being being judged or feeling like you have to perform a certain way because you're getting paid for it or whatever. It's just a relaxing, great way. Like you said, it's a gateway into beginning to play live elsewhere. How are you both, and you can answer this individually. How did you get involved in music? Like Nate Stearns, you said you didn't play live before ever?
So okay, wow, this is
Yeah,
so
you got to keep
my
it short. We only have 30
yeah,
minutes.
my
tell your whole life story, and we'll tell ours. Like,
my mom, to keep it short, was a private music teacher. And growing up, I played a lot of different instruments, but nothing really stuck with me until about 2 years ago. COVID was going on, and I picked up my dad's guitar from the closet. And I didn't really play it, super invested until about a year and a half ago. And then from then on, I mean, as I had a job and didn't really care much about high school, I just kind of played until I got tired of it, which is roughly about 6 to 8 hours a day until I was over it, and then I started playing and jamming with Jackson a lot, and then it's all history from there. So I finally had the courage last year to start doing open mics with Cliff. So
That is so fantastic, Nate Baker.
yeah, and then for me, I do not come from a musical family. The music gene skipped a couple generations. I think I have like a great grandparents who, like in the 1920s, they had like a full big band, like jazz band of their whole family. But then the music genes just got suppressed for a couple generations, and so I was born into a family that, like, my parents didn't really play music, but they forced me to take classical piano. And growing up, like, I was always listening to music. I always loved music, but never really got to play it. Well, did classical piano, hated it, thought I hated music. Uh, then I picked up an acoustic guitar. I think my sister, yeah, one of my sisters was learning it. They were going through a whole like cowgirl country phase when Taylor Swift was still doing country, and so they had like a super cheap acoustic guitar, and I started playing country music, which was music that, like, I really enjoyed, as opposed to classical piano, which is just like, it's
Yeah.
classical music. It's very different. Started learning a lot of Johnny Cash, and that was the rest is history. I started learning guitar. I was homeschooled through high school, so I was able to get a lot
Focus.
of free time. Yeah, focus more on it. And just like Stearns said, I really hyper fixated on guitar. I played hours and hours and hours every day. I started a little YouTube channel, which has since been deleted, but of me playing guitar and covers, and then got into music recording. So it was kind of a branch. I could have either gone and played live, but I didn't really have any connections or friends because my family wasn't very musical. So I wanted to learn how to, like, record music because I knew that I could play multiple instruments, and I wanted to write stuff, record it. So went down that route, and here I am, just starting doing live. But I've been doing music for about 7, 8 years. I think I started playing piano when I was maybe 11 or 12, so maybe more like 9 years now.
So because you have a Spotify,
Yes.
is that your music?
Yes, and I feel very ashamed of my Spotify because it's really kind of random music, because I'm very much an experimentalist, or experimenter, if you will. So I started just putting up random experimental stuff on there that is not cohesive whatsoever.
Huh.
But yes, I have everything from EDM to film scores. I really wanted to be a film composer. Still kind of do. So I had a lot of, like, covers of Hans Zimmer songs on there, and then, like, acoustic stuff. So yeah, I need to, like, get that under wraps. It's kind of chaotic.
it's a
Would you
laboratory. It's just
would
that,
you say, like, so should I share that Spotify link or no? With
I
this,
would share my YouTube probably first, before the Spotify, but you can absolutely share the Spotify too. Like I said, I really need to be more disciplined about getting that more centralized. And if I'm going to do this type of music, have a different Spotify profile. And if I'm going to do this type of music, have a different Spotify profile for that. But right now, it's all under the same one.
yeah. Okay, so when I heard you at Daly's open mic, you had a very unique, I don't know what song you sang. I can't remember, but really unique vocally, the way you sang this song. What is that? I mean, where did that come from? Because it was really different, I thought.
Me?
Yeah.
Um, well, I don't know. I'm very much a music nerd, so I tend to try a lot of different things, as you can see from my illustrious, chaotic Spotify. And the same goes for guitar, writing music, and singing. And I never really got into singing until a couple years ago, just because I wasn't that good. And if you go to learn singing online, which is how I do everything, um, there's a lot of information online about singing, and it's kind of hard to sort through it all, especially when you like so many different types of music, and each type of music has a different style of singing. So I guess what you heard that night was like an amalgamation of all the different styles that I've kind of tried and observed. I'm trying to kind of centralize that, but anything from Mongolian throat singing, I was really into that for a while, to death metal screaming. I'm just kind of a nerd. I like learning it all.
Yeah, it was kind of a mix of like that deep throaty, but yet it was kind of like country, but yet it was I'd not heard anything like it. It was very unique and very cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but
Yes.
yeah, I pride myself on probably my
Just
guitar
comes in and
playing
just
more
be
than
like,
my
"You
vocals.
freaking suck."
Yeah.
Just quit.
I listened to you and I thought you were just terrible. No, I thought it was very unique and very
Thank
cool.
you.
And
Thank you.
everybody enjoyed it. Everybody in there
Oh
enjoyed
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, both of you guys, honestly, the comments and the way people are responding is really positive. And what I loved about it when I first went to open mic where all you guys were, I was like, look at all these young people in here. Oh my God. That was like the first time since we've been doing CU Bands and Fans that I've seen that many young people at an open mic. And that was really, that was exciting. I mean, I was really excited to see that. And where do you guys want to go with your, because I know Nathan Baker that you, according to your YouTube, you do some video and some media production and commercial, you create commercials and
Yes, that's right. I have a double life, Terry. Yeah, my main job and what I've been doing for 4 years is I actually have my own company. So I own a Nate Baker Media LLC, and I have been producing professional video for small businesses for about 4 years, for social media, for TV, for all sorts of marketing stuff. And music has always been kind of the side thing, and then video has always been how I make my money. For me, I would love to see how those two things can converge somehow. Um, I haven't been able to um, actually film much music videos for other people, so I've just been forced to do it for myself. So if you go to my
what,
YouTube, go ahead.
yeah, and it's e- excellent video, first of all,
Thank you.
and uh, excellent the commercials that you've done. You've got them on your website. Um, well done. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I've been trying to really vamp that up and book more higher end type videos. And so yeah, whoever's listening to this, if you want a music video done, let me know.
He's your guy.
Yeah, I would love to shoot it for you, because really my whole philosophy really with life, and I think Stearns would agree with this, is um, we try to look at what God has kind of gifted us at, what we're good at, and then how can we use those for other people, and to ultimately glorify Him. So for me, it's like I'm really good at making videos, and I'm really good at producing music, and so I'm just trying to figure out how do I do those things to help other people and use them maximally.
Gosh,
I think
we
one of
just
the
go ahead.
one of the things that we've talked about a lot, as we sort of kind of grow this partnership. I mean, we've only been working together for what, like almost a year at this point.
So you work with Nathan Baker?
Yeah. So he
Not for my company, but
not for his company.
I've produced music for him, and we've known each other personally.
We
Wow.
do a lot of personal / professional. Like I'm sort of his client in some respects, and if I'm not his client, we're partners in just making music together. Which is like, for me, having started out, I've always wanted to play live and make money doing that. Whether it takes off or not, that's beyond the question. But I mean, I've always also had a desire to write, and to lyricize, and also just kind of develop new things together. I've always loved older music, specifically classic rock and like Beatles-esque stuff, Eagles stuff, James Taylor. Like those are my like sort of goals to be like, but I also want to put it in my on my own spin, and since Nate is super experimental and very willing to explore as much as I am, it's such a good cultivating space when we get in the studio and we start putting those things together, because we like to try different things, and if it doesn't work, we just go back and redo it another way. And it's we're just now getting on the ground as far as live music goes. We're starting to book things. We're starting to play at more places, whether it's paid or not. And on top of that, it's so much fun to just get in the studio, and we're starting to plan every week or 2 weeks or something like that. We haven't nailed it down just yet, but to get in here and force ourselves to write. I mean, the Beatles, they weren't famous overnight. They sat themselves down in a room when they weren't playing live, and they forced themselves to write music.
Yes.
And they did that through their whole career, and it was so monumental in their success. And so that's what I want to do. I've got lyrics out the wazoo, but I need a little bit more of that, talent and insight into how we can make these things work. So it's really been a treat to get with him and Jackson specifically in these areas, and just kind of futz around. It's
Yeah.
super fun to
Because
actually
you never know what's going to happen, but that willingness to spend that between that together. And when they're talking about Jackson, they're talking about Jackson Tater, and
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
yeah,
man.
Jackson Tater, and who is in himself just
wonderful
love-
guy. Super.
we love
talented.
him, and
It was really neat watching him when he first started playing with his dad, and
Oh, yeah.
how he progressed from that. It's pretty amazing.
Honestly,
you go ahead.
I owe, I think, 99% of where I'm at right now musically to him, because I've always loved this old music. I've always loved this style, but until I met him in about 2019 area, I've since spent so much time with him online, in person, and I started going to a bunch of his gigs, and I just fell in love with the scene. It's so much fun to get out there and create. And so I started really investing in guitar because of him. And since then I've worked really hard to, I've got a lot of ground to cover, with him, and especially Nathan. Like these guys are of some of the best guitar players in the area, and best, vocalists, just best overall musicians in the area. And I've only been playing for a couple of years now, and I'm just like, I nothing motivates me more than to not only get to their level, but to also join them at the same time and create new things.
Join the dark side.
Yeah. It's super, super great and super important to me. Like these two are both my best men in my wedding in October. So it's like these guys are around for the long haul, and it's really something beautiful to watch and to experience making music and being with those two constantly.
Well, congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, Nate Baker, do you do wedding videos as well?
Oh, that's a
Here we
loaded
go.
question.
Or is that something
Here we go.
I've done one for a close friend, but as far as other people's weddings, weddings are so dang stressful,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm good on that, to be honest with you. There's a lot of
Yeah.
money in it, but as of right now, Nate Baker Media is not trending towards the wedding industry.
Okay, I just wondered that because I did see a wedding video. Um, I love that Jackson's had that kind of influence uh with you guys, and that you were, I mean, you were already obviously, in love with music and in love with doing creativity and all of that, but for him to influence you to and I really love, no, we're not gonna stop in 10 minutes, sorry. And I really love the fact that you love the classic rock, that because I mean that's my generation's music, but
Mhm.
that's not why I love it so much. I love it so much because it's good. It's just good
Yeah,
music. But
I've had,
yeah, so
yeah,
what I wanted to say though is because you did mention God. Um so what I wanted to say was that I mean, I'm a Christian also, and I love I love everything about God and Jesus and all of that. But what I'm most impressed with is I'm blown away at the fact, because God is a creator, and I'm blown away at the fact that he gives humans even a ounce
yeah,
of creativity. I mean, we only have a little bit of that type of, I mean, just a creativity. It comes
yeah.
from him. And for him to let us have
I
part
know.
of a
It is
creativity,
insane, man.
ooh,
I love it.
love
Yeah,
it.
I love it. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Like seeing different aspects of who God is manifest in us, because we're made in the image of him. So, it's like even things like work, right? Like we work because God works. We create because God creates,
Yes.
things like that is really cool. Um, it's really cool when you see it manifest too, in like, oh, like there's a deep part of my being that's like, this is the way that God's made me, and I'm getting to live that out. It's really cool. Obviously, you know, um, the whole sin thing is it makes it a little bit tough, but to do it perfectly. But
That
yeah,
could be a little
We're all human, and like at the end of the day, that's one of the things that's like super great about what we do. You don't have a lot of Christians who are invested in their faith out here doing this kind of thing, and like I think it's important um when we're doing this to also maintain um
integrity.
integrity and good character, and show other people that you can do this and not um
you
and
don't have to be
not
fallible,
be you don't have to be the industry. You can be in it all you want. Just maintain what you have to. Keep your priorities straight. Is it the
Yeah.
fame you want? Is it the money you want? Or are you do just want to make money and show people the music that was put in your soul by our God? So it's like it's a difficult road to navigate.
What's crazy too, because like if it wasn't for God working in our lives insanely, like we wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
We both have incredible stories. It was me first,
yeah, go for
but
it.
we actually met in church, okay, at Mattis Avenue Free Methodist Church. And I was playing guitar on the worship team. You were playing guitar on the worship team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think close after that, I really went off the deep end in a big way with my business, with my job. I was getting a lot of fame locally for my
Wow.
video production. I was working for a company in town doing their social media, and it was blowing up. It has over 170,000 followers now. It
Wow.
it it blew up. My content was very very famous, and so I got a lot of that too. And I very quickly, I didn't know it. I actually loved that I was doing this, even though it was the wrong thing. But I was putting fame and money and status uh, before God, before even thinking about what He would want me to do. And I think it was the fall of 21. Yeah, it was the fall of 21 that you know, I still loved what I was doing. I loved looking at other people and being like, "Ha, I've got all these followers. My content is this good. I'm gonna be like Gary Vee. I'm gonna be this great influencer dude." And God very, very strongly knocked me off my high horse. And then it was really cool because years later, I realized, well, after that happened, I realized I should do music because God had gifted me in that. I wasn't doing it at all before. I was a workaholic. And that's how we reconnected after those years. And come to find out, Nate had the exact same experience as I did, just kind of in a different way. But it caused us to reconnect after we all kind of went on this tangent and
we just
came
kind
back.
of we just went way off the reservation. And it's, for me, you know, at a point where I was at rock bottom, you know, I wasn't, you know, I was still going to church and everything, but I didn't care, you know, and that really hurt.
Yeah,
And
I talked back to a bunch of people in church. I was
oh
so
yeah,
pissed off at the church.
it's
Oh my
tough.
God.
It was a tough thing to navigate, and I think one of the things that really kept me going, especially, you know, I had a huge fallout with my roommate, and I was living alone. Like, I was dead alone before I met my fiance. I was just dead alone, not talking to anybody. You know, Jackson, we were still friends, but you know, we live 2 towns apart, and he wasn't always online. He had his own job. I had a job. I was working a lot, and you know, I came home to an empty house, and I was drained. I was a shell of a person, and the one thing that kept me and brought me back to where I am now, which is much healthier and happy relationships with my friends and with my fiance, like, and my parents even, was guitar. You know, I sat down one night and I just started playing again where I had, you know, I set it down for a little bit, and I got it out and I started plucking away, and I realized, you know, this is a character that you're given,
Yeah.
and you can shape it and however you want. And it takes some conviction. Your fingers
Yes.
your fingers bleed, your hands get tired, your wrists get tired. You don't want to be sitting there anymore. But having reclaimed that work ethic for this instrument that creates such a beautiful thing, it's essential to creating music that is, you know, soulful, and you need to have that and maintain that, and having the drive to do that every day has made me such a happier person, you know, like
There's like a theme of obedience there, you
Yeah.
know, because for me, like when I was off, you know, dead in my sins and doing my own thing, like talking back to church people, you know, I hated everything to do with not necessarily with God, but with God's people. But if you throw out God's people, you're kind of throwing out God too, because the Bible says that, you know, the body of Christ is Christ's bride, you know. So when I was like that, I was like, I'm going to be this great, great video producer. In fact, my boss had told me that, like, if I wanted to be successful, I had to give up music. And I was 100% on that train, even though music was the most life-giving thing for me. And so I was working 7 days a week, never played guitar, or very rarely. And it was like, you know, it wasn't good. And so a big part of me coming out of that season of life, I ended up taking a year off of my business, quitting my job, like totally recentering and being like, what do I do now, Lord? A big part of that was slowly stepping out and doing music. And that's how this studio actually came about. Was, God, I don't know what you want me to do, but I know you've gifted me with music, and I know that you give us gifts to use them. So I'm just going to do this. And that's literally been my whole life for the past couple years. And it's been a similar thing for Nate. And it's really cool that we connected after all that happened.
Because now I don't see, you know, this is going to be something that we're doing for a long time. You know, like we're so invested in this, and we you know, you have your standard dream talk that's all like okie dokie. Recording.
Okay. So we had to stop for just a second, but we're back. And we were at you talking about how you kind of like you played in church, Christian,
Mhm.
going to church,
Yeah.
attending church, all of that. And then you both had experienced this kind of soul seeking time of
Yeah.
you know, what
Rebellion.
you were
yeah,
humbled.
just a
You
we
Nathan Baker, you were humbled because pride goes before the fall.
Which is weird too, because like anybody looking at my life would have not seen a fall at all. They would have seen utter success, you know? But God doesn't look at the outside, He looks at the heart. And the heart was where I was sinning. You can do what I was doing and not sin, but I had completely thrown
Yeah.
my soul away. It's like the Bible says, what does it gain a man if he gains the whole world but forfeits his soul? And I was trying to gain the world, but I was forfeiting my soul in the process.
Yeah. And so you had to get that straightened out. That had to
might
be
drop.
Exactly.
But that brings us sort of to just today. We've got I've got an album coming. It's gonna be a long process, but now that we're gonna be in the studio more, it's gonna probably come a lot quicker. So that's gonna be on the way. I mean, the first song in it's out now already, but that's sort of what I'm gearing towards right now, and I'm also desperately trying to get gigs in places around town. It's just been a busy season, so I haven't gotten many hits yet, but we've been asked by a couple places already.
What do you,
He's trying to plan a wedding. Like what?
Yeah.
yeah, that it's and your wedding's in October. That's like not, planning
Not very long.
planning a wedding is, and so obviously we're photographers.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also a wedding photographer, and I'm also a family photographer and an event photographer, and just like whatever. I mean, I don't have this one specific niche.
Uh-huh.
So I photograph like everything. And Zach goes to live shows and he photographs it. We document the live local music scene. Obviously, you guys know that. And so I guess my question to you is, Nathan Baker, do you want to do music videos? I mean, of other musicians doing their
Absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously my passion is like I've filmed live stuff too. I don't know if this is on my YouTube channel. It's definitely on my Facebook, but I filmed a Christian concert a while back for WBGL actually.
yeah, I seen
Yeah.
it. It was
Yep. And so like live stuff, absolutely. But I love being able to do like a proper music video, plan it out with the artist and make something really creative and cool. But yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I took a year off of my business and just last year I've been starting to revamp it, along with doing production at the same time. So it's a lot of irons in the fire, along with leading worship at church and being in 3 bands and everything. But
Wait,
yeah.
hold hold a minute. And I've got the same question for you, Nathan Stearns. Like, what bands are you in?
Okay, so and this has just literally been in just the last month that this has all happened. I've only started playing
Okay.
live last month. I'm kind of overwhelmed, Terry, to be honest with you. I have no clue what the summer's gonna look like because I'm really busy. But I'm obviously in Stearns' band, so whenever we play live, I'm there. Owen Knapp, very, very, very talented young artist.
Yes, sir.
You don't know Owen Knapp?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so we started playing at the open mics, and he saw my guitar skills and was like, "Hey, would you gig with me?" So I've been gigging with him, and then one of the worship leaders at my church's dad is in a bluegrass band, and bluegrass, like I said, I'm a nerd. I like a lot of stuff. So bluegrass is something that has really challenged me a lot, playing lead in a bluegrass band, and I love that. I love playing fast stuff on the guitar. So
Tell-
actually, sorry.
I can tell that, like from just
Yeah,
watching.
yeah. Yep. So just last night, actually, I had my first gig with them in Gibson City. And it's like a 6-piece band, like mandolin, bass, banjo, the whole deal. It's called High Cotton is the band name. And yeah, so those are the 3 bands that I'm in.
Didn't know that.
Uh,
No idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Nathan
he's
Stearns.
I am just in my own pretty much, and I do some solo stuff pretty much. And like I said, I've only been in this for just slightly longer than Baker. So we have started growing our own musician group. I've got a keyboard player that no one's seen yet. His name's Dimitri. We're really happy to bring him on here pretty soon.
Is he confirmed?
Oh yeah, he's confirmed.
Really?
Oh, sorry, I didn't tell him about this. Yeah, so
Our
Dimitri,
podcast, there it is.
he's a fantastic
Sick.
key player.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably one of the best piano players I've ever seen in my life. He's a composition major at the U of I.
Oh,
He
no.
can play anything that you ask him to. He's a firecracker, super fun Greek guy. And I've known him pretty much my whole life. Fantastic guy. We jam together quite frequently.
You just stoked,
And
you just stoked Baker up there, man. I could tell. He just, yes.
It's gonna be exciting. And Jackson is interested, but also he's also in a billion groups.
bands,
so
yeah.
he's kind of on hold for now. But we're looking.
And I've got some people from my church
yeah.
who could join too.
We have assets, basically.
We have
is what I'm
assets,
saying.
yeah.
But the group is coming together, and it's a thing, but it's not quite in its final form yet. But you'll
Okay.
see more of us.
So you're getting a
And yeah, we're getting a roster going. So yeah, that's
So,
basically the main thing.
okay. So currently, you will do shows acoustic.
Yeah.
You- okay.
Just I want to do solo stuff, but I mean, mainly with the group as soon as we're until we're done, growing. Of course, Nate and I and Dimitri and anyone who is confirmed or is Jackson, maybe not quite integrated in the group yet. We're still gonna play shows, just not completely,
What are you gonna call
sealed,
your?
signed, delivered. No idea yet.
That's a terrible question.
We had a great conversation.
No, it's a good
about
question.
this.
It's terrible for us. We're
Yeah,
terrible.
We don't have. See, I asked Cliff last open mic at Dailies. I was like, dude, what should we name our band? Because like I feel anything that I come up with is gonna be the cringiest thing. And I was asking Jackson, he's like, man, you can call it whatever. You can call it table or desk chair or wooden door. I don't know. But and Cliff gave some examples like that. But it's like anytime I try to come up with that, I'm like, well, what if we don't like it in the next 2 years, or what if we want to change it?
Yeah.
It's a difficult question, and it's a difficult thing to just kind of
At some
come
point,
up
you
with.
got to pull the trigger, though.
Yeah,
You just gotta
I
pull
have
the
to
trigger
make
and
an
stick with it.
executive decision, and it's really, really difficult because I don't want it to suck. So we don't know just
It
yet,
makes
but
it
as
suck
soon
as
as
long
we have
the band doesn't.
my now my Spotify name is Douglas Studio Band. Sort of like a Steely Dan type thing where they were a studio band. Which I liked at first, but I'm also like, I don't know if that'll stick, and it's not really a super live band type thing. That was more of my solo sort of title for online and
Yeah.
for
'Cause
music production.
The
but-
ideal mix is you do half and half, right? Because
Yeah.
like you do playing and playing live to promote yourself, right? But then you've got that whole other half, which is kind of my expertise, being
Oh, yeah.
a social media
Huge
marketer for
asset.
3 hours or 3 years doing it, is
Uh-huh.
like the recording and promoting on social media stuff. So working both sides of the going out and playing shows, and then also getting in the studio and promoting it, whether making music videos on YouTube
Yeah.
Which
or
is-
Spotify.
That's such an asset because bands are horrible at their
Yeah.
social media.
Oh,
Horrible.
yeah.
They're and
It
they
gets
don't
pretty rough out there.
they don't put enough information in the about, because I always go to the about, like, well, who is in this band and what do they
Yeah.
play? And right, Zach, it'll be like empty. It'll be like
Yeah.
band
It
plays
helps to
live.
know who's in it. It also helps to know where they're based out of.
Yeah, and their
Yeah,
contact
yeah.
information, for God's sake. Anyway, so aside from that, but I think I would like to discuss a few things with you, Nathan Baker. Um, uh, uh, I definitely, I want to talk with you, like aside from this,
Absolutely.
about some video stuff and about like our new site,
Could you go,
called
man?
CI Direct Connect, which is a directory, to be able to connect to videographers, photographers, musicians,
Cool.
artists, you name it, and you'll be able to connect directly from that site. So
That's awesome.
I want to talk to you about getting that some content and stuff for that. And but I got a voiceover person. Just met him or talked to him at Red Hot. I've known him forever. He used to work at WCIA. So I'm gonna have him do some voiceover, but I need some really cool video. I need some marketing video content.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad
Great.
to know
Well,
this. I had no idea until I started like seeking out information.
He's your guy.
I was gonna say I know a guy. Yeah.
Also, I mean, I've done some music videos. I've produced them, done them, created them, and
Mhm.
loved it. Oh my God, there's no more fun than that. Like creating.
We've discussed doing that for some of my personal stuff and the stuff that we could do. Like it would be so much fun. And Jackson's totally on board with this too, the music video stuff. He's so good at it, and so we were like, yeah, that'd be super fun to do.
See, that's what's so cool about you guys is number one, that you're young and you're coming into this music community and you're experiencing, live music, and you're experiencing playing live music. And so it's that fresh blood. It's that young, you guys are the next level of live local music. Like I said about our sponsor, which is Homegrown KIO, is they play a lot of the live music scene in my day, like in the 70s, was massive. It was all over campus. Oh God, I seen this. I'm sorry. I seen that bug crawling across my screen. I thought it was you guys. I thought it was like, oh my God, you got a bug crawling on your guitar. Sorry about that. Anyway, I was like, oh my God, what is that? A rat? A bug? What is
Rat.
Anyway, that was so good. Anyway, they play that, and there's so much history here. And I want the newer musicians, the younger musicians, to understand that foundation. Because the REO Speedwagon, they used to play at the Red Lion, and Head East came from here, and they used to play at, I think the Red Lion as
Allison
well.
Krauss.
I got
Allison
a cool story about REO Speedwagon here in a second.
I got to get your socks out of the frame.
Oh, do tell. Let's hear.
So, a little backstory. So my fiance's grandfather, shout out Kent Paris, was in a band long time ago when he was in high school called Uncle Meat. He and his band were, they were based out of Champaign, and also I think it was Chicago as well.
I don't know.
They knew that band a lot. They had like a reunion, like I don't know, 6 years ago or something like that. But it was really cool when he brought out the pictures, and he was like, yeah, we spent a lot of time with REO Speedwagon. I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, that's a little history nugget there. It's really cool to have a grandfather-in-law who's really involved with that stuff.
Yeah, so like I'm just so glad, that's part of getting out, like people like me and fans of music and stuff, getting out and hearing the new, the new kids on the block, so to speak. Yeah. And getting to know you guys. And then once that begins to happen, like you're just part of the music community. You're just part of the family. And like you meet so many, don't you, Zach? You meet so many great people, and they just love you up. Just everybody treats everybody so well in this music community. They really do. It's not like other music communities where it's a competitive, it's a, they jab at you or they make fun of you, or it's none of that. They're always lifting you up. And original artists too, they're like so good at promoting each other. on their own pages. They're always lifting each other up. But I definitely do have, I think I've got my some work for you. I know you're a busy guy, but I think I could throw some work your way as far as like creating
Good.
music. So
Absolutely. I'd love it. Bring it on.
yeah, it's good to know that. And that's one thing that I love about us, doing podcasts with musicians, and that is we find out so much. It's like, oh, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you
Yeah.
a person or whatever. And everybody's connected in one way.
Yeah, the Champaign this area is really special. Really, really special. The community is awesome. Everything about it, right? And I've gotten the opportunity to see it from so many different angles. Um, it's really, really cool. And the music scene is just one of those angles. And it's really cool to see how the scene evolves over time and us just like getting to be a part of it, like Stearns with his music that he releases, and then me with my video and then producing capabilities. I'm like, anything that we can do to help establish a scene here is awesome. I remember I've got lots of friends who are actually in the metal scene in Champaign back in like the early 2000s. There's a huge apparently metal scene here,
Yeah.
and it just kind of died out. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it would be like, I don't want to be too visionary and then nothing happened, but any role that we both have to play in creating a scene here, so it's you get new people in making music together, would be just so cool, so special.
That metal, and we still have fans of metal, and they're always, I mean, they'll message and be like, what happened to the metal? Is there any metal bands? It's now Canopy Club will have some sometimes, but
Yeah, and I'm working on that too. I'm a closet metalhead, and my buddy and I, it's just two of us, and we've recorded metal together. So like I do all the producing, but we just don't have a band. So like we can make metal, but we just don't have the band for it, and that's the tough thing. So maybe that'll come to fruition in the future. That's one of my music videos on my YouTube. Actually, is a cover that we did.
I watched that.
Awesome music video,
But
by
it
the
would
way.
be so
Wow.
dope for the metal scene to come back. Because you're right, Terry, they are here. And if you go to like the Audio Feed Festival, right, where a ton of metal comes in, like people are going crazy. But there's just none locally. So I don't.
They
Again,
get fed enough of that,
There's
they
a
love
couple, but I don't know. Eric Cobra is one. They seem to have gone on a hiatus. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I keep watching if they got anything come up, and
They're
they
just kinda-
haven't. So I don't know if they're going to
yeah.
stick around or not.
See, and I'm so new to the local music scene in general. Like, guys, I don't know how any of this works whatsoever. Like my
Second
background,
that, I have no idea.
my background is recording and playing music, like by myself, so the whole live thing is very new. So it's definitely a new world for me to traverse and try and figure out what bands are out there and how to get shows and all this. I've never done this before. So
Yeah. Well, you've come to the right place.
Awesome.
That's basically kind of what we do. And if you watch our page, you follow our page, Zach puts together a very comprehensive, very informative event list. And it's posted every single day because there's live music every single day. And he pins it to the top of the page so you don't have to go searching for it. It's also on our website. It's also on Instagram. I started putting it on Linked, and it's getting a lot of attention on Linked, believe it or not. And so that's where you start, and we begin to talk about you. And we'll, of course, this podcast will bring you a lot of some attention. And then people start just following you, and then they show up to hear you, and then boom, boom, boom,
Right.
boom, boom. It just goes from there. Like, just
I mean, I've already noticed that from going to the open mics, and then now I'm in like 3 bands. I'm like, oh,
People
this,
talk.
yeah, like what the frick just happened,
now,
It's kind
let
of
me.
wild.
Do you each have a music Facebook page, or is it just your personal Facebook page?
I have a music Facebook page. There's not a whole lot on it right now, but all my information is there. It's just called Nate Stearns Music. Totally public. Anyone can do it. And I'm in the process of building it up. I've posted a couple times, and it's relatively new. But if you want to follow me and know where my music is happening live or otherwise, that's where it's going to be. So
Okay, and do you post on that when you're going to be at an open mic?
yes, I do.
Because we've encouraged people. Well, like I said, I created that post after I seen all these, all you guys at an
Yeah.
open mic. I was like, this is, I was just like, I got home and I was like, oh my God, you guys,
Right around.
all these young people at this open mic, you got to go. You got to check them out. It's amazing. It's awesome because we begin to lose a little bit of, I don't know. I mean, Zach and I talk a lot, but I'm just like, I remember a few years back going, if we don't get some new young people in this music scene,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? Because there has to be that next wave of live musicians.
Of course. And I was having a discussion with Cliff a while ago. I think it was about 2 months ago. And he was like, just bring your friends, man. And I was like, okay. And so like at the time it was just me and Owen pretty much who were showing up. We were the only young guys there, and there wasn't a whole lot of other people that I was like, you know what, Owen, we should just start bringing folks. And so I asked Jackson. He came. He brought my buddy Parrish, who hasn't played yet but is planning to. And then I was like, hey, Nate, you should come. And then he brought his other friend Chevy, and so a friend of ours, and then it just started growing. And then Cliff was like, hey, I guess I'm gonna invite Hunter. I'm gonna invite Logan. I'm gonna invite, so we've got. I think it came to like its peak that one night you were there where we were just like, everybody invited everybody, and it started with Cliff talking to me and Owen and being like, dude, just invite your friends. And Owen and I think we just reeled in a lot of our buddies, and now everybody's enjoying it. And
That's what you do. That's
sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I mean, I think it's really important that we do that.
It is important, and so that brings me to the point of support. Having support, being a musician, doing any kind of entertainment or going live, and just like you're not used to that, and then being there, but seeing these people that support and love you is 100%.
Yeah.
It's been really cool too, because my dad, well, both my parents have been the most supportive parents ever through this whole process, and getting to see my dad watch me play live in front of people. My dad takes a lot of pride in me. He kind of lives vicariously through me in a good way. And seeing the joy on his face and the pride in his face when I get to play in front of people, like, he enjoys it more than I do, honestly. And
I second that.
It's really, really, really cool to have support like that. And then my dad is he's basically like my unpaid manager. He's texting all of his work buddies, guys, you got to come out and watch. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, like, you're putting in the overtime, It's really, really special and cool.
And that's what it takes. And it's so good that you got people in your lives that are doing that. And then we'll do the same thing. And so are you guys going to the next? Oh, but first of all, thank you, Cliff Stoker, for beginning that.
Yeah, big shout out to Cliff. Let's go.
When he started that, I was so excited to see him kick that up again. I know it laid low for a while, but then he kicked it up again here at Daly's, and then he got one going over at Winston's, and then he messaged me and he's like, hey, so we're gonna start one in Villa Grove, and I'm like, yes.
I feel bad too, because I saw him and he was like, I was leaving an open mic and he was like, Villa Grove,
he
next
told me
Wednesday,
the same thing. Yeah,
be there. And I totally forgot about it, and I did not go. I haven't gone to last one either, because I've gotten like actual gigs, and so now it's like I've just forgotten about him. Plus, life is just nuts.
Yeah,
crazy,
life has been pretty nuts for the both. I mean,
he's engaged and is trying to plan a wedding, and I've got like 5,000 irons in the fire between my small business and doing music.
Yeah,
and I've got a girlfriend that I'm really serious about too. So there's so much.
It's pretty I think one of the great things though about this whole thing is like, it doesn't matter how busy we are. Like, we always find an excuse to just say, you know what, we're going out tonight. Let's go. Let's go play music. Like,
And it's like pulling teeth sometimes.
yeah, it's hard, but I think,
Once you
and
did,
it's been pretty spotty, but like we'll be at the next one. Like we're raring up.
When is the next one?
It should be next week
next
at
week
Dailies.
at Dailies.
It's at
Mhm.
Dailies next week.
Well, this
so.
week is the last Thursday of the month.
It was weird because I usually thought that he did it last Thursday and first Thursday
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he
Um,
started the one in Villa Grove's on a Monday though. That's
I think
like-
it's because it's February and it's not got as many days in it. But
That's true.
so he was doing the 4-week rotation. But I digress. That whole having a veteran like Jackson up there with me has really brought me out of my shell and helped me just kind of relax up there. And then
Yeah.
that is going to transition into live music as a group, where we're getting paid to do those things. And we're actually in the process. We'll be right after this podcast making a list, starting a list, and starting to talk about all the things that we want to add and start playing and start rehearsing and stuff. So it's really up and coming, and it's really exciting. Because it takes a lot of monotony out of my 7 to 3:30 job, and getting to create these things with my buddies, and just it makes it easier too. Like when you have friends up there with you, just vibing, it's just it removes all the weight of trying to perform off of you, and that's something that's like I'm looking forward to it so much. And the fact that we all want to take it somewhere, and it's all like just kind of coming from the ground up.
And like the role, we all have distinct roles too. Like you're an artist. You asked about like my music Facebook page. Like, unless someone like really pushes me, I don't really have any desire to be like an artist, like make my own music, because my thing has always been to just help like my friends make music. Because like if you had to pigeonhole me into one genre of music, I would die. So being able to have a studio and produce music for people allows me to do everything from heavy metal to Owen. I'm new song coming out by Owen soon. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm producing it. It's like country. His is rock. I'm producing EDM with another guy. So seeing how all of our different roles like fit in is really, really cool. So suffice it to say, I don't really have a unified artist profile on Facebook. Really, my main thing is my small business, my video thing. This is so far has been playing live has been like a fun thing for me.
Yeah. So, but it is all interwoven.
Yeah.
So, Nathan Stearns, have you performed any of the songs that you've written?
Yeah. So at the was it at the last Dailies one that we
I don't know
did?
if it was at the last Dailies one. The first Dailies
The
one.
first Dailies one.
That I went to.
Funny story. Okay,
Was it
so,
in December or January?
I think it was January. So
Yeah.
when I went to Dailies, it was the first one that Nate came to with me.
And Chevy was there too.
Yeah, Chevy was there too, and I was like kind of struggling with to figure out what to play, and I Caitlin, who's my fiance, shout out to her, by the way, very supportive. Can't wait to marry you. Anyways, she suggested, why don't you play your song? And Nathan was also like, hey, you can play your song. And I was like,
I know it really well. I produced the whole thing. I know it in and out.
I was super nervous because I was like, well, what if they don't like it? But I got up there and I was like, okay, let's do this thing. And Jackson and Nathan were both up there with me, and I played it, and everybody loved it. And I was like, that's surprising, mildly. And so I went, I got off after my set of songs that we all did. Everybody, we were a big hit. I think it's just because we're all, good looking heartthrobs. But we got up there, and Caitlin goes, the bartender was like, what was that song? Who was that? And she said, and Caitlin goes, well, he wrote that. And she's like, really? That was
awesome.
so
That's
good.
the best feeling ever.
And nothing has ever made me feel that good about something I've created. I was really proud, and that pushed me a little bit, and so I'm bringing hopefully new, even more new songs. Like that song is just kind of a teaser for the album I'm writing. So I'm gonna be bringing a lot more original music to those open mics and gigs sequentially. So
Well, then we
look out
want
for
you
that.
we used to have original artist night. And that's how oh my God, the original music in this community is like, whew, wow. And so we used to have that up until 2020.
Mhm.
And of course, COVID, blah, blah, blah. And so we're going to kick that back up again in Villa Grove at the event center in the, you know where that is, with that stage and everything in between those two buildings, it's fenced
Mhm.
gated in. Yeah, we're going to kick that up in June. So we'd love to have you. Come and do your original music, definitely.
Sounds great. I would love to be a part of that. I mean,
We're
any
like,
opportunity I can get out there.
yeah, we're huge supporters of original music and songwriters. So that's exciting, and we know so many. I'm gonna start to kind of weave you in and connect you with these songwriters locally. Now, that being said, I had one more thing for you guys, and then we was gonna shut this down. And I'm sitting here going, I can't remember what it was.
I hate that.
I know, I hate that. I know I was going to ask you about your original music, and I did that. Oh, I was just going to say, I'm not sure if you guys realize or not, but when you're doing these open mics and the drummers and the bass players and those that step in, they're veteran musicians that are just incredible. So you guys are really in the presence of some really phenomenal musicians. I'm not sure you know the depth of that yet, but like, let's take Stephen Morrison,
The drummer.
a drummer.
Yeah,
Now,
Jackson gave us the whole night
did he
about
tell
that.
you?
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. He played in Appaloosa,
yeah.
and and for him to be at an open mic playing drums for you guys,
He comes
that's
to our blues jams
It
too.
adds so much.
Yes, that
Yeah.
was the blues jam was fun. Steve actually, again, I don't really. It's hard because obviously I wasn't around back then, so I don't know the weight of this. But we played some blues songs, and Steve was like, "That was so much fun." And I think he said he wanted to record with me, but we never touched base after
Yeah.
that. But yeah, he said he's got some songs he's writing or something, and so we might be releasing some Steve music. But he's super
Yeah.
nice, really cool.
And at the last dailies, Bob Watson shows up.
Wow.
Bob Watson shows up, and him and oh doggone, so terrible at this, but him and I can't remember the name of the other musician that came with him, and they sat down and did an original song
Oh wow.
that they had
It's
written.
always a treat when those veterans come in and do that type of stuff. And
And
like
they're
I didn't
I'm
know
telling
any of these
you
guys.
these guys are top-notch forerunners of live local music. They are experienced, incredible musicians. And so anytime that you can even have a chat with them, take that time and do it and just absorb.
Duly
Uh,
noted.
Yeah, definitely. So it's been an absolute, I love this podcast. I loved having you guys as
This
guests.
has been great.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, guys. It means a lot.
You guys were fantastic. We'll have to do a part 2 after you get your band formed. And
The
Sounds
band
like a plan.
that will not be named yet.
It'll be named.
yeah, the no name
Just you
band,
wait.
the no name band so far. But after you get that formed and you get rolling and you've done some recording and stuff, we'll do another podcast and see what's happening and how things have progressed. So
All
thank
right.
you so much for being on. We will have links to people to be able to locate you guys and your music, not your personal pages. I don't like that kind of a thing. If you're doing public stuff, then do that on a public page. And,
Yeah.
but congratulations again on your engagement, and
Thank you. I appreciate it.
hope the planning goes well. So we'll see you guys probably at the next open mic. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yes, man.
Thank you guys so
You guys have
much.
a great one.